I don't know what you're doing here. I see so many people. Thank you guys so much for showing up. We really appreciate this. So not to waste time, let me just start this presentation. So I know most of us have started our applications, and some of us have already sent in our applications, and some of us are also planning to start our applications. I mean, it's not easy. It's a very difficult journey. You just be there and then they send you oh, you've been denied or you've been accepted and all those, like, it's very hectic. But I mean, I'm here to encourage you all that it's worth it. I mean, the journey is worth it. When you get here, you see what I'm talking about. So my application journey started in 2022, 2021-ish. Yeah, I wanted to come in for 2022, but I didn't get funding. I didn't get some things. So I had to defer. And then I just didn't like defer everything. I learned from that process in 2021 and 2022. And then I learned some things that's helped me to get here today. So starting my application journey, the first thing I did, which I believe I didn't do the previous times, was to look at schools that offered my program. So I'm currently pursuing a master's in actuarial science at Georgia State.
Diana, can you pause, please? When you enter the meeting, do well to mute yourself so that we don't have the noises from the background, please. Please mute yourselves. Thank you.
Okay. So as I was saying, the first thing I did in this, I mean, this year or last year, was to search for schools that offered the program that I was interested in. So I had my bachelor's degree in actuarial science at the University of Ghana, and I wanted to do a master's in actuarial science or something related to actuarial science, risk management or something. So the first thing I did was to look up for schools that offered actuarial science. I mean, I came across so many of them, so many schools. But the next thing that made me settle on the schools I applied to were the prerequisites. Most schools, for my case, most schools wanted someone with a calculus 3 background. I didn't do calculus 3, so obviously I don't check that box. So I had to move on from there to schools that had prerequisites that I had taken. And I believe this is very important. Just because you have calculus 2 doesn't mean they will overlook calculus 3. They want that. That is why it is a prerequisite. So if you think you don't have calculus 3, you're not ready to go back to go and take calculus 2, just move on. There are about 1,000 schools in, if I'm not exaggerating, in the United States. So you obviously get a school that is like for you. Let me say it like that. You get a school that is for you. So checking that box, I wrote down the requirements that were required of me, the things that were required for the application process, the SOP, recommendation letters, interview processes, and all those things. You and I know getting recommendation from these our professors are very hectic. Like, they are very hectic. I don't know if they don't want us to leave Ghana or what, because I really don't know. You go to someone that, oh, I want a recommendation letter. The stress the person will put you through, like, is very, very hectic. So I check all these things. I checked all these things. If you are requiring 3 recommendations from me, I mean, this is not the only school that I'm applying to. So I check those things. I mean, 2 is fine, 1 is fine. And the good side of Georgia State is they didn't require recommendation from me. So, I mean, I didn't have to put in any recommendation. But if you have a recommendation, it helps you. So I checked all those things. And then for the SOP, I mean, every school requires an SOP. And SOP is very important. That is where you tell them that I did this internship, I took these courses. This is why I'm interested in MSc Actuarial Science and at the school that I'm applying to. So Georgia State, this is why I'm interested in the MSc Actuarial Science. And in Georgia State, you can mention a few courses that are in. I mean, Emelia has a video on that on her YouTube, so you can look up to it. But mentioning just a few, I mean, that is where you express yourself. Tell them your thought process, why they should pick you, why they should consider you for their program. And then your CV. CV is very important. Like, aside all the SOPs, the recommendation letters, and all those things, CV is very important because they look how prepared you are. They look at your CV and then they see how prepared you are for the master's program or graduate school or even your bachelor's. So your SOP should be tailored around the program you are going in for. There are some courses like the Masters in Actuarial Science. There are some schools that their specialization is in data analysis. Some are also in risk management and all those things. So you consider the program that you're applying for and look at their program curricula and know that, okay, this is their specialization. They are into data analysis. They are into risk management. So you tailor your CV around that and make sure that you hit what they are looking out for. And then for my case, there was an interview process in my application. So I had to hop onto my laptop and then record some questions, some answers to some questions, and then you get a few minutes to prepare for it. But this process has taught me something very important. In the United States, most of their interview questions are centered around behavioral questions. So you can look up for that on YouTube. They have so many ways for you to prepare for it. But what I can say is the STAR method helped me so much. You look up for that also on YouTube, not to talk so that I don't talk much. It is very important to prepare for that because they look at that to know how prepared you are. And then I reached out to people and then they told me, okay, behavioral questions, look up for it on YouTube and all that. And then I prepared for it. And I believe that's what helped me to gain admission at Georgia State University. And have confidence in yourself. If you have a second class lower, it doesn't, I mean, it matters sometimes, but look at the other things. You didn't get a first class, you didn't get a second class upper. By your CV, your SOP, the interview, as I said, can also really help your application. It can help you get a scholarship. Get a scholarship that a first class person can't get. I know people who have first class who didn't get a scholarship, and some of us who have lower and upper, we got scholarship and we are here enjoying. So don't just look at your transcript. I mean, when you get here, you can better it, but I mean, it's already passed. So the other application equipment, you have to look at them. Your CV is very important. You look at that, your SOP, express yourself, tell them why they should pick you and why you're interested in the program. So yeah, basically that is how I got into Georgia State and other schools as well. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please, you can ask me. I'm here to answer.
All right. We will make time for the questions, but then I like some points that Diana mentioned, and I would like to reiterate some facts. She did mention that the program that she was applying to, they needed a Calculus 3, and she didn't have it. So make sure that even as we have started applications, even as we are still in the process, we are paying attention to the prerequisites. It's like applying for a job. Sometimes you are like, you don't have to qualify for everything to apply for it, but make sure that at least the least preferred qualifications, you do have them, so that it doesn't seem like you're throwing a lot of applications out there, but then you're also increasing your chances of getting admission. Also, recommendation letters is one thing. Yesterday, someone reached out to me and he said he had to push his applications forward because all the recommenders said they will be very busy in December. And it's a reality, right? We cannot take that from the picture. So if you want to ask someone for a recommendation letter, the new strategy is that make sure you are writing the recommendation letter yourself. Like everything you want it to be in the recommendation letter, and then you send the person that the Word document. It makes their work easier. They just make a little edit, which does not take much time, and then they just give it back to you. So if you have not tried that method, you can also try that. SOP is someone asked a question and we are going to go to that. If you should write SOP with AI or write it yourself. So we are going to talk about that briefly. And then personal statement, yes, there's a difference between SOP and personal statement. if you did not join my other webinar, I did mention that for SOP, you can use one SOP to apply for one application or multiple applications. No, you can use just one SOP to apply for one school, but you can use one personal statement to apply for multiple schools, because personal statement is about yourself, and then the SOP is tailored to the program that you want to apply for. So let's take note of that. She also did mention about the grade. So I was reading something, and it says that the admission board considers a number of factors before they grant you admission. So the fact that you have low grades, it doesn't deter you from applying to school abroad. You just put a little effort, like putting a little more effort, throwing light on your experiences in your resume, throwing more light on your personal experiences. If you join community staff in the university you want to apply, exhibit all of that. So once you have a low grade, doesn't mean that you cannot pursue school abroad. And the last thing she spoke about is confidence. And that is one thing we are lacking from someone who is here and someone who is from Ghana. So even if you have applied to a school, I know some of my friends have already gotten interviews. When they call you for the interviews, make sure that you are exhibiting some confidence, right? Don't feel so timid. Don't feel like they're doing you a favor. That is not how it is here. The more timid you are, the more incompetent you are seen, unfortunately. So once you get admissions, interviews, please make sure that you are exhibiting some confidence. And so without wasting much time, I'm going to invite Priscilla, who is going to talk about also a huge part of the admission process. People have gotten admission. They don't have funding. How do you come? How do you get your visa? So Priscilla speaks briefly about that. If Dinah has anything, she's going to add to it. And then we take it from there.
Thank you, guys. I think Dinah really said it all, and now I don't even know what to say. Yes, thanks, Dinah. Thanks, Emelia. So the question is, after admission, how do you get funding? I think for everyone, for every school, funding is different. Most schools add the funding to their admission letter. Most schools bring the funding later on when you don't even expect. And I think that was my situation. For me, so I started applying for schools in 2022 with Dinah. And we have a similar story in the sense that I wasn't getting funding in the fall of 22. And then there's this applying to schools with some people, and everyone has like left, everyone has Japan. You're like, when am I also going? Yes, so I would like to speak about a few things to help you get funding. Now, I think one of the most important aspects that people don't really take serious is reaching out to graduate coordinators. It's like really very, very, very important. Because if I didn't reach out to my graduate coordinator, I don't think I would have started in the spring that I started. So if you're applying to schools, you should have a plan in the sense that you should know if the school funds or not. For some schools, they do fund master's students. Other schools, they do not. Other schools just fund PhD people. So if you are applying to the school, you don't want to waste your time if the school doesn't even fund master's students in the first place. I think that's what you have to take note of. Have a plan and know if they fund master's students or not before you waste your application fee or before you waste your recommendation, because recommendation is hard. And also have a connection with your grad coordinator. Of course, some of them do not reply to emails, but it's best to just give it a try and know, like have an idea of what's going on. Also have this at the back of your mind that every year the department has a budget, right? So because you want funding that year doesn't mean the department should just give you funding, whether it fits in their budget or not. I think that's one thing that we fail to take note of. Every year, every department has a budget. So you should create your plan in the sense that you know what's going to happen. You know if you're going to get the funding even a year before or not. So have that in mind, have a plan, know the department's budgets, know how many people they fund and all that. It will save you a lot of stress. Now to how I got my funding personally. So I think I applied for my school in August. I applied to the spring semester. And in August, as of August, they said there was no funding for the spring semester. And budget is subject to change. So in December, And school was starting in January. So in December, the grad coordinator just sent me an email that they've reviewed their budgets and they can admit 2 more people for the spring semester. They can fund 2 more people for the spring semester. So for me, I think it was sort of like a saving grace. So whatever you believe in, I believe that should work for you when you're looking for funding. So it was sort of a saving grace, and they had to open their budget up and they sent the funding letter. And I was supposed to look for a visa in the shortest possible time, which is like another story maybe we'll delve into later. So before you even think of funding, you should have created a solid plan such that you know if this school funds or not. You should know if the school funds, if it funds just masters and PhD or like either one of them. And you should have a connection with the grad coordinator, because if I hadn't reached out to the grad coordinator, I don't think I would have been funded, because he told me in August that there was no funding. But as at November, which was like Thanksgiving is like 23rd of November, I just reached out to say, hi, Professor ABC. Although I didn't get funding for the spring semester, I want to say thank you for even putting in the efforts, right? And just a week after that email, I got my funding. So sometimes reaching out, like, not just to say that email your grad coordinator every day, but reaching out from time to time, it's very important. It helps you build that relationship. Now, looking back, if I hadn't sent that Thanksgiving email, I believe it was God who gave me the funding, but let's say if I hadn't sent it, maybe I wouldn't have been in the grad coordinator's mind that I really appreciated his efforts. So I think relationship is important everywhere. Build a relationship with your grad coordinator and don't bombard them with emails, but just like build a natural relationship. And also you should know people, you should build relationships with people in schools. They have a fair idea of how funding looks like what kind of funding is in the school. Reach out to people on LinkedIn to know, oh, what kind of funding does your school give? What kind of funding are you enjoying? How is it like if they fund you? I believe they are all like important aspects to getting your funding. I've answered the question in someone's mind.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not vocal like Dinah. So.
That's fine. We are hearing you. Adamu, can you please mute yourself? Okay, Priscilla, you can continue. Are you done?
Yep. Oh, sorry.
Okay. So I think Priscilla made very good points as well. Like someone reached out to me today, saying that they got admission without funding, and he has reached out to the professors a number of times within this period, and they've not gotten any feedback. And I was like, schools are on break, so it's very likely that when you're emailing professors around this time, they might not reach back to you. But then once January starts, schools will resume. So you can send your messages. Reaching out to program coordinators is also a very good one. If you have gotten admission without funding, you can reach out to them that this is your situation. If there's a saving grace like Priscilla had, maybe you will be in the person's mind so that you get funding. It's very easy to get admission, but it's very hard to secure funding. And so I have a video on my channel that talks about the options available to you if you have not secured funding. So I'm going to share that video. Now that we have spoken briefly about applying, admission, and funding, let's get specific to why you are here today. You came here because of your question. So we wouldn't want to deny you that fact. Can you please mute yourself? For some reason, I'm not able to mute everyone. Yes, so I'm going to start with the questions that I got earlier, and then we can take it from there. So our first question is, should SOP be generated using AI and later paraphrase it, or it should be written by the applicant's own language? Who wants to take this question? My panel, Priscilla or Dinah? I can take it as well.
Okay, let me just share a little bit. We know AI has come to stay. AI makes your work easier. Me, most of the time, I use AI for everything. When you're coding, you can use AI. When you're using, especially ChatGPT, you can use it. But one thing I learned from someone, I think he's on the line, is knowing how to control or how to use the AI. You just don't put, oh, write a statement of purpose for me. I'm applying for BSc in BS administration or something. You can put something down and then you put it into ChatGPT or whichever AI tool you use, and then let the AI help you paraphrase it or give you some ideas about it. Don't just leave everything for the AI to do it. No, now there are tools that can check if you use AI to generate it, and then it shows how unserious you are. Because if you seriously want to pursue a master's in actuarial science or a BSc in Bachelor of Science in administration or anything, you should put in some effort to let them know that, yes, I really want this, not just because I want to Japa, which is very important. We all want Japa, but let them know that you are very serious about it. You just don't want to get admission, because there are some schools that have like their admission rates at 100%, and then you can still get denied because of some of these petty mistakes. So let the AI do the work for you, but tell it what to do. Don't just let it generate a generic statement of purpose for you that anyone can go there and then get it. So you put down something and then let the AI paraphrase it for you. Get something very solid for you to be able to impress the people. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Also on the issue of funding, let me answer this question as well. So, one of my administrators on WhatsApp dropped a chat that someone was denying someone's admission. The admission has been revoked because they used AI in writing their statement of purpose, something of that sort. And then the admission has been revoked because they found plagiarism. So first of all, AI has come to stay. We are applying to study abroad. We are not the only country that is trying to come to the US or wherever we want to go. The Asians are using it. Those people are very brilliant. They are using it. Everyone is using it. But how do you use it to the maximum? You know yourself better than anyone can write about yourself or tell you about yourself. So if you want to use AI to write your statement of purpose, make sure that you've written about yourself in your own words. Even if it's the worst English ever, you have written about yourself, and then you give it to the AI to paraphrase and correct any grammatical errors. So you don't give it to the AI to write about yourself and then you paraphrase it. Most likely your plagiarism is going to be like an 80%. So that is the answer to that question. Write it yourself and give it to the AI to paraphrase. Even after the AI has paraphrased, you want to review it and then pass it through a plagiarism checker to make sure that your plagiarism percentage is very low, because these people are very particular about that thing. Also, we did talk about funding without mentioning the types of funding, and so Priscilla will briefly go through the types of funding. I've seen some questions in the chat. We are going to address everything. And then I mentioned earlier, before the whole recording ended, Priscilla is going to share some application waivers. So you want to stay on the call to the end, and then we can share that and then zoom out. Okay. So Priscilla, can you come in?
To add something little to what you guys said about AI. Now the school wants to admit you, they want to fund you to come and do grad studies. What in grad studies, you don't do plagiarism there. So now just your application, you are putting everything in ChatGPT and plagiarism will be found there. So now the school has it in mind that they can't trust you to even finish the studies in peace. So it's very important, as much as possible, not to use AI for your SOP and things, because it just gives this red flag that you can't even graduate in peace. You can't even graduate for the 2 years. If this short term, you're using SOP, you're using ChatGPT or whatever. So I think that's something you should have in mind. Now to the types of funding. So normally there are 3 types of funding. We have research assistantship, teaching assistantship, and graduate assistantship. Now, what does a graduate assistant do? Mostly graduate assistants do administrative duties, such as receptions in like the department offices, handling of data, communication with people, replying to like official emails, just handling students' concerns in a specific way. And also those are your roles. Normally in graduate assistantships, what happens is like you do 20 hours of work in the department. It's different for every department. So they can decide to pay your fees and provide you with monthly stipends. That's one way. Or some schools just give you monthly stipends, and which is also fine, which you be able to cater for your fees. Now, what does a teaching assistant do? A teaching assistant teaches 20 hours a week, and the department in return pays the person's tuition and gives the person stipends as well. So the funding the funding they are giving you, it's not like they are giving you funding just to come and relax or something. Obviously, it's a white man's money. You would have to pay something in return. So you should have this at the back of your mind that when you come, you are not just coming to enjoy scholarship, you are coming to give back as they are giving you the scholarship. Now, a research assistant is given a supervisor, and then the person supervises the individual's work to do research or to do thesis. That will be in the department's name. And in return, the department pays the person's fees, pays the individual's stipends. And stipends are just enough to cater for your accommodation and for your feeding and maybe some little chillings here and there. So I think those are the types of funding. So have it at the back of your mind that funding is work. Funding is you're coming to give back. You're coming to do some kind of work, which will be like administrative, research, or teaching. And I think Dinah can add more to that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Priscilla. So I see a question from Salome Nketia asking if you can get external departmental funding. For example, I applied for MA in Applied Economics and got into the school, but I did not get assistantship with the Econs department. So yes, just as Priscilla said, graduate assistantship, we have several types, and most schools give assistantships upon admission. So your admission letter usually comes with your assistantship package, and then you get to know what you are supposed to do and what it entails. But most of the time, some of us, we didn't get assistantship on admission. So I can mention a few departments that you can get. You don't necessarily have to work or get assistantship from your department. You can look at several places. So when I was doing mine, I didn't get assistantship on admission. I reached out to people on LinkedIn because, as Priscilla said, you have to reach out to your graduate coordinator. Some of us, we didn't get that saving grace. So we didn't get our graduate coordinator coming back 2 days time to give us assistantship. So what I did was I reached out to several people on LinkedIn, which is very important. I think everyone here should get a LinkedIn account if you don't have one. I reached out to people at Georgia State University because I had decided I wanted to go to Georgia State University. So I reached out to people on LinkedIn, spoke to them about me getting admission and not getting funding. And then this lovely lady told me to look at the housing department. So housing department here, they usually give housing accommodation to people and all that. So that is it. You go to the housing department, you can write emails to them and ask about graduate assistantship opportunities. They are not going to teach anyone. You're just going to do administrative tasks, just like Priscilla explained. So you can look at the housing department. You can look at the recreational centers where the school's gym and sports activities take place. They also employ people, and then they pay your tuition in exchange for you to work with them. And in those places, because you are not working in a department that teaches, you are going to do administrative tasks, just like Priscilla explained. You can also look at ISS, which is the International Services for International Students. They also employ graduate students, and I mean Bachelor of Science, bachelor students, undergrad students, to work in exchange for paying their school fees. You can look at that place. You can also look at the student affairs, the dean's office, and other places. The best you can do is go on your school site and then check all the departments that they have. They have several departments. You can look at all those places, and then you can target one human resource. most of the time I look at the beautiful ladies who look very calm and then shoot them emails. You don't want to go and email someone who is like at the high office. You want to look at maybe a secretary, human resource, or even most of the schools, they put up the list of their graduate assistants. So you can email them also. Sometimes too, you can target these departments. They have people working for them who are from your country. So you can check those sites. I'm sure when you go to youth Prisla sites, Prisla school sites, you can see Prisla there. So you can shoot Prisla email. Oh, hi, I'm also from Ghana. I got admission and I'm not getting funding for my department. You can get funding from other departments, not just your department. If your department is not giving you funding for some reasons, you can look at other departments. You can look at the maths department. You can look at the science department. You can look at any other department to provide administrative tasks to them. And one thing I learned from this process is most of these people are looking for people who have background in customer service. They are not going to do, I mean, this is a cheating experience, but they are not going to go back and go and ask that, did you actually work there or you didn't work there? You can tailor your CV to suit what they want because it's not a department that actually teaches. You want to put in a customer experience in your CV so that they will at least call you for an interview and then you express yourself more to them. And then, as I was saying, I reached out to people on LinkedIn. If you have people who are already in the US and are attending schools, please utilize them. These white people like recommendations. If I recommend my friend to my boss that, oh, I worked with this person, oh, I attended the same school with this person and she was very good, they are going to call you for an interview. They are actually going to call you for an interview because they've worked with me and then they know that I'm very hardworking. If I recommend someone who is also from my country that I've worked with a person, they are going to pick you. I mean, they are going to give you a priority interview. They are even going to help you pass the interview themselves. So if you have someone who is already in the US and then the person can help you get funding, please utilize them, worry them, disturb them. I mean, like this, if you text me, I can help you. Only if I can, I mean, I'll help you. So please utilize the people who are already here and then look out for people on LinkedIn. Get an impressive LinkedIn account. Sometimes when you're in Ghana and then you email these people here, they are not going to respond. I experienced it firsthand. I emailed my coordinator several times. He didn't respond. But once I got here, I sent an email. Within a minute, he responds. I sent an email. Within a minute, he responds. So if you already have someone who is here, you can make the person do those inquiries on your behalf. And then look at other departments for assistantships. Don't just focus on just your department. The minor ones, even if it's a reception, even if you have to talk to people or do something, tailor your CV to suit the job you're applying for, and then I bet you are going to get it. Don't just focus on your department. If you've not gotten a scholarship, right after this meeting, look up your school's website, check the departments that they have, and then send email to each and every one of them. It is very hectic, but you have to do it because you have to leave Ghana. You have to come to abroad. You have to come to the United States. So I believe, Salome, I've answered your question. And if you have any other question too, you can ask me.
Okay. I think that we have our next question. So we will address every question in the chat. Please take your time for us. We want this to be as organized as possible. We had some questions that we wanted to address. So our next question is, I just secured admission without funding. What options are available for me to secure funding? Which I think we've mentioned: graduate assistantship, research assistantship, and then teaching assistantships. Also, Diana just spoke intensively on looking at other departments, even the GEM services. it's just something to get you funding, right? This is not a job you are going to do after school. While you are in school, you are allowed to work 20 hours as an international student. So that 20 hours can pay off your tuition. And that is what we call the graduate assistantship or the assistantships. And so I think this question has been answered. Also, I do have a video that says gotten admission without funding. These are the options available to you. So Priscilla, on my link, you want to check it out on YouTube. And so we'll go to the next question. Please, how do I get to finance my graduate studies with 8B loans, Empower loans from Africa and its application processes? This one, after you have gotten admission without funding, I think you just go to the Empower financing or any loan services you want to use. You go to their website, read about the eligibility criteria, what makes you eligible for it, and then just go through the process, right? So within the next week or two, I have someone who is mainly doing that for everyone out there. And so the person will come on my channel and then they will take you through how to apply. And then one thing we have noticed is that once you apply for the Empower financing, the visa officers are denying us our visas because we have secured loans to come and study. Now, how do we get to solve that? So once you have secured a loan, the one major criteria of the visa application process is to exhibit your strong ties to your home country. If I say that, I mean that you want to tell them that you are going to come back after school because you're coming to the US to study. So after studies, you want to go back to Ghana. Now, if you have secured a loan of $50,000 for your education, and you're telling me that you're coming back after school, where are you going to get that money? Yeah, of course, when you come to Ghana, you're coming to work, but where are you going to get that money to fund or pay off the loan? And so if you are going for a visa interview with a loan that has been approved, you want to be mindful of what you say. So one thing you can do is still find a bank statement, still find a bank statement. It can be your relative, it can be a friend, and say that even though you are using a loan for your studies, you have this person who is willing to help you pay for your loan after school. If you have a job right now in Ghana, you can say that maybe currently I'm working with the Ministry of Education. I'm earning this amount of money, and so when I come back, I'm going to work with this company to pay off my loan, so that it doesn't raise the question of how are you going to pay the loan once you are back from your studies in the United States or wherever you use the loan to study. I think we have answered that question. And so for the steps in applying, we are not going to go much into it because we don't want to spoil the show. So yes, someone is going to come talk extensively on that. The next question, elaborate more on OPT and STEM designated programs. I think I'll take that question. And so it's very good that you asked this question. It's very good that you know about this before you come to the US specifically, because that is where they do the OPT and the STEM. So someone said they don't understand OPT. OPT stands for optional practical training. So according to the US government, if you came to the US to study whatever program you came to study for, after school you have a year to, so in Ghana we call it like national service or internship. So you have a year to come and then work to. So the main purpose of OPT is for you to get a hands-on practical training of whatever you came to learn. So I did global business management. My OPT was in a role that was human resources management. So kind of still in the management train, right? And so everyone that comes to study in the US has the optical practical training. Now, the STEM comes in if you read a STEM designated program. And that is where it is very important for you to know the program you're applying to, if it is STEM or if it is non-STEM. If it is non-STEM, can you please mute yourself? If it is non-STEM, you have 90 days to leave the United States. If I'm correct, it's 90 or 180 days to leave the United States after you have exhausted your OPT. Otherwise, your stay becomes illegal, right? Now, if it's a STEM, you get additional 2 years to work. Additional 2 years to work whatever work you were doing. It can be in your OPT or any other company, but then you get additional 2 years. So the difference between someone who read a STEM program and someone who read a non-STEM program is that someone with a non-STEM program gets 1 year after school, and then they have to exit the United States. Someone with STEM have 3 years to come to 3 years work after school. And then someone asked a question which we are going to address, that how do I, let me see the question so that we can tie it to this. How do I legally stay and work in the United States after graduation? So that's the part we are telling you. If you have a non-STEM program, you have 1 year. If you have a STEM program, you have 3 years. Now you see that a lot of people don't come back after school, and you are asking, how do they stay? How do they legally stay? And so if you are working, even with non-STEM, some people are very lucky that they get employers to fund their working visa. So you can write this down. The working visa is called the H-1B visa. So if you get the working visa, which is for 3 years, then you get to stay in the United States 3 years to work. Now, the working visa, the employers have their own criteria for that. So how to legally stay, the part is that you do your OPT. If you don't have a STEM designated program, then you move to the H-1B, which is a working visa. If you have a STEM program, you do your OPT, you do your STEM extension, which is for 2 years. And then in the course of time, how lucky you are with the H-1B, which is a lottery. So yeah, once your employer has filed for you, H-1B is a lottery. So as time goes on, we'll be holding these webinars to talk about all of these things. Now it will look a lot if you are now doing the application process and you want to think about how you want to stay in the US. So let's focus on how you come here, and then we will look at that later. And so once you have done your STEM extension, then you come to do the H-1B, and then you move to the H-1B visa. It's a visa status, not a process, right? So once you move to the H-1B, now you are not on F1 again, which we all know is a student visa. Now you are on the working visa. And then life goes on after that. There's a lot that happens that we don't want to overwhelm you with that. But yes, there are avenues for you to stay in the US legally after school. Once you do everything right and then you stay on top of time, everything should work out. So I believe that I've answered that question in entirety. STEM, you have 3 years. Non-STEM, you have 1 year. So basically that's it. And then the next question is it advisable to use a loan approval letter or supporting letter as a proof of fund? Also, I can take that question and then we'll do the ones in the chat where Diana and Pesta is going to talk much. So if you are going for the visa interview, whether approval letter, supporting letter, admission letter, funding letter, anything that pertains with your funding, you want to take everything. You don't know the visa officer you are going to meet. These people are very objective. So it's not like I have this there, I have this there. You want to send every document that you think will make you get the visa. That's the answer to this question. Don't leave anything home. If it's supporting and approval, you have both of them. Just put them in one file, take it there. Whatever question you are asked, you bring out the paper to back whatever answer you are given. I just saw in the chat that is OPT mandatory. No, there are people that come to the US after their school. Yeah, they have real business in Ghana to take care of. So they just leave the United States. But then it's something you can take advantage of to get an American working experience, which is very relevant on your resume. And so let's rush quickly to the chat, on top of the chat, and see the questions we got in the beginning of the chat.
We have a lot of questions in the chat.
Yeah. Someone said I'm experiencing network challenges, so I joined late. Can you please go over how to get funding? I think I just spoke about it, so that might be answered. Please, is a goal statement similar to the statement of purpose? Who is going to take that question? So a goal statement, I believe, is something that's talking to you about your goals, and then your goals should be SMART, right? They should be specific, measurable, accurate, time bound, and all of that. But a statement of purpose is geared towards your program of study. If I'm reading business administration and I'm applying for public administration, my statement of purpose should be able to outline the linkage or the alignment between business administration and then public administration, and why I want to study public administration. I think that should be so Dinah read actuarial science in Legon, and she's doing actuarial science here. So her statement of purpose obviously would have to outline the fact that probably my undergraduate studies in actuarial science has increased my interest in actuarial science, and that's why I want to do a master's in actuarial science because of my career goals. So that kind of thing. Your goal statement, I don't know which goals, but if it's academic career goals or academic goals, there's a difference between a goal statement and a statement of purpose.
Yeah.
Can you please talk more about priority deadlines? So, I don't know if someone wants to take that.
Okay. Priority deadlines are, and I think we skipped one question from someone. The person asked when we received admissions after we put in our application. It's basically the same question. So most of the schools have deadlines. We have priority deadline, then we have the second deadline, then we have the last deadline. The last deadline is usually for people who are already here, because you want to factor in the time you get your admission, you want to consider funding opportunities, and you want to consider dates for interview. So priority deadline is the first deadline. Mostly, if you would, as an international student, you would like to look at that, because that is when you are part of the people who get their decisions first. So my grades are not good, or I'm looking forward to getting scholarship because I can't pay for my fees, I would look at priority deadlines, because then most people have not really prepared their materials and recommendations and all that to meet the priority deadline. So if I start now, I'll be able to meet the priority deadline. Then I'll be considered for graduate assistantship, because at that time, the SHACs have not already applied. So me, that I'm not a SHAC, I've already put in my application. So at least I'll be considered. So you'll be looking towards that. And then even if you don't get funding at that time, there are people who graduated the semester before, or the semester before you are starting. So there are funding opportunities there. So if I have my admission, then I can use that admission that I've gotten to sign on to the school's websites and other platforms to apply for scholarships and assistantships. So that is one of the benefits of applying during the priority deadline. You get your admission early, you get more opportunities to funding, you are able to tailor your CVs around the graduate assistantships that are available, and then you are able to get all your documents and everything early, so that you book your interview and go for your interview, and then you come to the United States early. So most of the time, getting your admission or your application decision depends on when you put in your application. If you put it in before the priority deadline, you get it earlier. If you put it in after the priority deadline, then you're getting it probably February or March. So it depends on the timeline that is on the school's website. So you might want to check those things, and then make sure you meet the deadlines as soon as possible. Make sure that you apply early, so that you get all your admissions decisions and then your funding decisions. Then you'll be able to, book your interview dates and then come here as soon as possible, or meet the decisions or anything as soon as possible. I believe I've answered the question.
Okay. The next question is, please, you made mention of some application waiver codes. We said we were going to share that at the end of the session. The other question, what do you have to say about external departmental funding? For example, I applied for MA in Applied Economics. I got into a school, but I did not get assistantship with economics department. Can I apply for assistantship to the mathematics department because I have a mathematics background? I think Dinah spoke more on that. So thanks very much for saying on your journey. I would like to know how long your admission decisions were for both schools. Did you address that already, or you want to speak to that?
That is what I just addressed.
Okay.
She addressed that just now.
Okay, I can see some shout outs in the group.
Where did he pass?
Thank you for being here.
Apostle,
Someone said, can you please elaborate on fellowships?
he's on water.
Can you please mute yourself?
I think the person is muted already.
Okay. Please, can you
On
elaborate
fellowships.
on fellowships? So I think fellowship is also other form of funding. It's like scholarships. It's like Mastercard Foundation. I wouldn't call it a fellowship, but that's how they come in the form of like a group or an organization that has a specific goal, and so they bring you to the wherever you are going to school, UK, US, Canada, to study. And then like Mastercard, their goal is to raise young, brilliant people from Africa. So, and then the people would have to go back and give back to their community. So the organization has a goal that they are recruiting people for, but then they want to help you, and then you help them achieve that goal. So they also provide funding. I know some fellowships that provide like 100% funding and medical insurance, everything.
Yeah.
That is it about fellowships for me.
Yeah. The
So does
fellowships. So
Okay.
sorry. Okay. Let me add just a little. The fellowships too. They are usually comprehensive, and they are usually sometimes very difficult to get it, because I think they are for people, high achievers most of the time. So if it's within your reach, I mean, you can go for it. But if you think you don't qualify for it, just as Priscilla and myself, you mentioned, graduate assistantships are also other options that you can look at.
Okay. Please.
Fellowships are a bit more, like the process is a bit more extensive than graduate assistantships. You go through a series of interviews. For my school, we have one called Actuarial Fellowship. You write a public policy statements, you write a paper, you go through interviews, and the whole process is just long. So you would rather not settle for less, but you at the end of the day, you do realize that the money you would be getting from graduate assistantships is equal to what someone in a fellowship will be getting. So
Yeah.
fellowships are quite extensive, but if you get a fellowship, like, well done, just go ahead with it.
Okay. Please, how does it play out when I did start, but then I want to further in a course in another field? Is it possible? Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, every grad program has like some prerequisites. So although you did start, if there's something in your background or in your transcripts that says you can do business, you can go ahead for business. Like if there's something in your transcript that says you did economics, you can branch into economics. If there's something in your background that says you did theater arts, obviously I know statistics, there's nothing in your background that says you did theater arts, but you can branch. So pay attention to the prerequisites of what you want to branch in before you go ahead to do the application. If not, you waste the application process. So you can branch, of course, but make sure your prerequisites match what you're branching into. Most business programs, the prerequisites might not be the same, but as far as they see that you're coming from a math background, they just accept you because they know math people can fit in anyway. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let me add something small. So the branching, I mean, as Priscilla said, is doable, is very, like, you can do it. But sometimes, like I tell other people, if you want to branch and then maybe there's nothing in your background that qualifies you for the program. I know I have a friend who, when she got here, she came with, I think, accounting or something, but she has changed her major to business analytics. So if you think that you've applied to so many schools for that same program and then they are not giving you admission, apply to the ones that you most qualify for. And then when you get here, you can change it. I mean, when you get here within that same semester, you can talk to your program coordinator and then you switch within departments. If that is, I mean, if that option of just branching is not working for you. And I think if you don't have anything in your background that says that you did economics and then you can branch it to economics, try to work within that field. So if you did, let's say mathematics, and then you want to branch into data science, if you can, okay, I think mathematics and data science are the same, but okay, something like that, and then they are not related, you can find a job and then work within that field. So your CV, your transcript doesn't say that you did something in data science, but your CV is telling us that you have extensive or how should I say, extensive experience in data science, so that they know you have a passion for it, not just trying to branch from economics or mathematics to data science. So I think that also works if you can have a job experience in that on your CV, and that can also work for you.
Okay. Hi, I would like to inquire about pursuing graduate studies using the loan option like Empower and the likes. What are your thoughts? I
think
think
you
we
addressed
did
that.
mention that. Also, did you all write either GRE or GMAT?
Okay.
Diana and Priscilla. I didn't write GMAT or GRE, but my journey was different. So Diana and Priscilla.
Okay. So
Priscilla, you can take it.
okay, that's fine. So I wrote GRE, yes. I didn't like the grade I got
Yeah.
for GRE. And my school didn't require GRE. So I wrote it for other schools. And look, I mean, I didn't even find myself in those schools. My school didn't even require letters of recommendation, just like Dinah's school. So
Yeah.
yes, I wrote GRE, but I didn't use it for my school. It's just there. Maybe one day I'll use it for something. Who knows?
Okay, so I also wrote GRE. I mean, nobody likes the GRE grades except other people, but my school also didn't require. I think from prior, I think after COVID, they are trying to scrap the GRE and the GMAT, unless maybe your grades are not so good and you want to use the GRE to support your grades aside the other things you add to it. And also on the loan, I would say not everyone is going to get funding, but you can try to get funding. Coming here with loan, I don't think you would want to come into a new environment with loan or a new country with loan, because how are you going to pay it? Do you have any assurance you're going to get a job, or are you willing to go back to Ghana? And I think these loans, you have to be paying as you're in school. You have to be paying little amounts as you're in school. Do you have money for that? And then other expenses too. So if you can try as much as possible to get a little funding and then use this loan to support yourself, I think that is best than to support your whole education with the loan. And when you get here, one thing I always tell my people is try and get a little funding, even if it's 50% or 30%. When you get here, you are going to get a full funding right when you get it, because some of them, you have to walk into the departments and then make inquiries that, oh, please, you have funding, please, can you help me get funding? And then you meet new people who connect you to other people. So please try and get funding. Don't just leave Ghana and then come here. Please try and get funding, because it's not easy here. You have to pay some bills. You have to pay your room bills, other bills. You have to eat and those things. So if you can get a little funding, please try and get funding before you come. And then use the Empower and then the 8B to support yourself. Thank you.
So on the issue of GRE or GMAT, for the science students or people that are pursuing engineering and all of that, most of these schools don't require them. But then as a business student who wants to do Master of Accounting, Public Administration, MBA, it's very hard to secure funding in the business field. So writing a GRE is not because your grade isn't good, but it's because you want to secure funding. And so that's why it's advisable that you write GRE or GMAT as a business student. Even though your grades are good, it sets you apart and then helps you secure funding for your studies. Also, the Empower and then the loan issue, we have a lot of people that are paying their loans monthly. If you do not get enough funding that is going to give you a monthly stipend, how are you going to pay your monthly loan debt? That's the question you need to ask yourself. So we are not saying you should scrap the idea of loan completely, but then if you have the chance to find funding, please do make sure that you find the funding. Someone says, how do you get the right people to connect with on LinkedIn? LinkedIn is a very good tool. If you don't know how to use it, you say that LinkedIn has been exaggerated. the person did ask, is it an app or a website? You can go to www.linkedin.com or download the app. Now I have a video on how to create a LinkedIn from scratch, and then I use someone's LinkedIn as an illustration. You want to check out that video. Also, if you are looking for someone on LinkedIn, I was in Arizona State University. You type Arizona State University, and then people that are connected or people that are following Arizona State University are most likely students or alumni of Arizona State University. And so that's how you go through if you go through those people and you are looking for someone who is doing Master of English, and then you find one person that's doing Master of English, click on that person, go into their connections. Most likely they have connected with their classmates, their professors who are teaching English. And that's how you follow the train to a specific department on LinkedIn. So you want to find a school, find people that are there, people that are reading the program or teaching the program. Most likely their connections are around that field, and that's how you find them on LinkedIn. So make sure that if you have applied to a school or you are looking at funding, they don't know you. In as much as your resume is speaking for you, your LinkedIn account is something they easily want to click on and look at what you are doing. How active are you on LinkedIn? What do you use your LinkedIn profile for? Do you even use it at all? All of these things are things, they are the reason why people don't get funded. People don't get admission, because we can't find any online presence or professional presence. Like, to an American academic board, LinkedIn is a big deal. As a student, if you don't have LinkedIn, that's questionable, right? So you want to create LinkedIn, connect with as much people as you can, and then find what you're looking for on LinkedIn. So the next question, how do I get a recorded session of this? I'm going to post it on my YouTube, so I'll share the link at the end of the session as well, so that you subscribe and turn on notification to see when I post about the Empower financing as well. Please, if you are awarded a research assistantship as master's thesis student, is that research you are assisting in fulfillment of your master's degree, or you'll be doing a different research aside of the one you are assisting? I'll leave that to Priscilla and Dinah.
Okay. So currently in this semester, I'm a research assistant. Now, as a research assistant, the supervisor that you're assigned to, let's say you're doing your master's for 2 years or your PhD for 4 years. Now, from the very first day, the supervisor you're assigned to, the person has the option of making you work on an extensive thesis that will take like 2 years. And that would be what you publish to graduate in fulfillment of your graduation. And the person also has a share in it, in the sense that the person also publishes it, and then it sort of gives the person a ground that they train someone to do research. So that's an option. Another option is you and your supervisor can work on other forms of research, like maybe like 5 or many forms of research till you graduate, and a person will be publishing it. And at the end of the day, you come and also publish one of them or defend one of it as your own thesis for graduation. So I think there are 2 ways to that. It's either the person makes you work on one for the 2 years or for the 4 years, that becomes your fulfillment of graduation, or the person makes you work on other things, and one of these days, just choose one and polish it to make it your graduation thesis or whatever. I hope I've answered that.
Yes, you have. Someone said, please share your LinkedIn profiles with us. Priscilla, Dinah, can you please copy your LinkedIn profiles? Because I'm recording, I'm not able to move away from the screen. How do you know the budget plan for a particular school, please? Priscilla, I think you did mention slightly about that, so if you want to take that.
So I mentioned that. Now, having people in a particular school, just as Dinah mentioned, is such a blessing. Now, if you have a friend in a particular school that you want to go to, the person has an idea that, okay, this semester, 10 people are graduating, right? So that means the department will need 10 extra TAs to like fill their roles. Obviously, you might not know if the department has $1 million this semester or not, because they wouldn't come and tell you. Except, of course, your friend works in administration. Maybe the person will see accounts or what's going on. But if someone has a fair idea of these are the number of people going out, so this will be the number of people coming in. Now you have like an idea of the budgets. So budgeting in departments is more of like an insider information. It's more of like your friend telling you that, oh, hey, apply for this because these number of people are leaving and there's a possibility like an 80% chance you get it, depending on your credentials or like your background or like, what you are coming in with. So that's more of knowing about the budget.
Yeah.
Thank you. You answered my question well. Good to know. Someone said, can you email your coordinators even if you haven't gotten admission, but you have applied?
That's a very nice one. Normally, coordinators don't like to be emailed. If you get a good one like mine, he doesn't mind replying to your email at 2 a.m. So if you've not applied and maybe your question is a pressing question that cannot be found on the website, I think you can go ahead to email them and be straight and direct with your emails. Don't beat around the bush. Only email them if your question cannot be found or if after admission you do not have funding and all of that. If you get a nice one, they would reply. If you do not, sorry.
Yeah, if they don't reply, it doesn't mean you are not good enough. Just understand that in this journey there are going to be ups and downs. There are going to be people that will reply you, people that don't reply you. Whatever your faith is, everything will work together for your good, right? So take that as a part of the journey. Make sure that if this doesn't reply, send a message to another person. Everything will work together for your good.
And let me add this, it's not just your program coordinator you have to email. You can email other professors in the departments because some of them may have specialization in maybe a field that you are also interested in. So you send them an email, send them your CV, maybe tell them you've worked on a thesis like this and you have extensive maybe interest in this field that they are also interested in. They can also help you in securing funding in maybe their lab or their team. They can also help in that. So not just your program coordinator, a professor in the departments can also help you in that.
Okay. What is the right time to start the application process as I'm currently at level 400?
Start as early as possible.
Mm-hmm.
If possible, like a year before, gather your materials. Let's say if school is starting in August of 2024, I would advise that you start, probably be the best, like the first person to apply when they open the admissions. So start gathering your documents as early as possible, like a year or two, even before the school opens admissions. Because you don't want to, and then inform your recommenders way before time. You don't want to wait till last minute and really stressed and you're going up and down. So, and come up with a plan. Normally come up with like an Excel sheet that, okay, this is how my school admission process is going to look like. Maybe in 2 weeks, I should have applied to this school. I should have cleared this admission, this school admission. Then you move on to another application. So I have to apply to this, and you should come up with a smart idea around your school applications so that it's strategic. You just don't apply a little here, a little there, and you move around in circles. You realize that at the end of the day, you've not even applied to one school. So start as early as possible and have a strategic plan. And I believe, and have God most importantly, I believe that's going to.
Okay. Thank you so much, Presla. Can you please throw more light on sports? No, I think the first question is what with a lower is the GRE relevant? I think we spoke about that. Can you please throw more light on sports management, sports law, or any school that does sports programs, opportunities, and process of application? So I want to say that everything you are looking for is on Google. Everything you are looking for is on ChatGPT. Everything you are looking for is on Google Bard. So if you want to know schools that are offering programs in sports, as far as I'm concerned or the panel is concerned, if Priscilla is not interested in sports, how will she know a school that is doing sports, right? So it might give you a wrong information that you later would say that we gave you wrong information. So you want to, I would recommend that ChatGPT or Google Bard would be a very good place to start
Right.
finding a school that is doing sports or doing whatever you are looking for. And then once you have started the process, if there is a question you have, you can reach out to any of us. I think that would be an answer to that question. We don't want to say anything that's misleading. The next question, how is it like studying applied statistics with data science and combining it with graduate work? Priscilla, that's your question.
That's a good question, because it's I think we'll have another webinar on this, but it's very interesting because my program has a bit of math in there, has a bit of computer science, like data science aspects, it has a bit of statistics. And now you're done with all this and your supervisor is expecting you to come in with a deadline. He's expecting you to learn some new formulas, put something in LaTeX, put something in Python, put something in R. So I wouldn't say it's easy, but you just have to find your balance. You just have to hold God tightly and then find your balance, and you'll be able to work around it. I hope I answered that.
Yeah, you did. There's not much you can say. Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah,
So
what can I say?
what can I say? Even if you are reading, even if it's not something related to data science or anything, even with global business management, I read financial mathematics, and that was a course that had to keep me awake every time, because first of all, we are using companies that you are not used to. We are using balance sheets that you are not used to. There are terms in the balance sheets that you are not used to. So in general, studying abroad, let's take the first of Japan being interesting aside. Study abroad is a very difficult thing to do. If you are supposed to speak in class, if you are supposed to make sure your professor likes you, you don't even know if you speak and they hear, like he just nods the head, like
Yeah,
what
the
is your
accent.
chances, right? The accent, there's a lot that comes to play that, like, if you talk about it more often, it looks like you are deterring people from coming. So come experience it for yourself and then you tell someone else, right? It's not easy, but then with God on our side, whatever you believe in, things will work out in your favor. I always say
Yep.
that. Mm-hmm. So I sent an application for spring and I haven't received a decision. I think I lost the question.
I think there are lots of questions we have.
Yeah, but we've not
process.
skipped any. So I sent an application for spring and I haven't received a decision from the school. And looking at how the spring decisions are already out, is it a bounce from the school or they are considering me for the fall rather?
Amy, I think you're reading the questions from your direct message, because it's like there are different questions.
I think some of them made
Send it to your
mistakes, sent
direct
it to me.
message.
Yeah.
Which is
So
fine.
do you have an answer on that?
Sorry, what was the question?
The person applied for spring, and then spring admission decisions are out, but they've not heard about the decision. Is it that they are considering her for fall, or she should move on?
For them
Personally,
to consider you for fall. I'm sorry, Diana, continue.
personally, I think that if you have not heard anything from them, another thing is do not put all your eggs in one basket. Apply for one school, wait for them. They don't care much about us. We want to come here, so you have to put on the more effort. So if you have not heard from the school, I think that you should look at the other options that you have. It can also be that Priceless grace will fall on you. They have exhausted their funding. So if they get another 2 spots ready, they will reach out to you. So that can be it. I don't think if you want to be considered for fall, don't take the chance. Apply to it again for the fall applications, so that even if they consider you for the fall and spring, like you still have those chances to you. Someone said, I've already applied. Can I change from a non-thesis option to a thesis option? I don't know much about that.
I think that's difficult. Once you've sent in your application, like you've
Yeah.
paid, you've done everything, making changes is really difficult. Maybe you would have to reach out to someone in admissions office that if they could do like a change in the website for you. But I don't think there will be a way around it if you've paid and submitted. But if you've not submitted or if not paid yet, I think you can go in to make edits. So
someone said, can you please let us know the names of your schools?
Oh, so for me, I'm in University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, and Dinah is in Georgia State University.
Okay, yeah. I went to Arizona State University.
Yeah, Emelia went to Arizona
of
State.
Global Management. So
yeah.
Emelia, I think you skipped the question from Caleb Asari. He said, please, can you touch on applying for masters? Is there any apps similar to Common App?
Okay. Personally, how I do my search if I'm helping someone is like I know someone who is doing packaging technology in Kenya, and I had to help them secure, like find if the program is STEM designated. Apart from Common App, I did Master of Packaging Technology. Some schools came up. I did Master of Science in Packaging Technology. Some schools came up. You can also ask Google Bard or GPT because I asked and they also gave me the same schools. So you want to use that. That's how I used to search. But then I know there are lots of websites. I can find that and then share it on WhatsApp. So if you come across it, that's fine. Yeah. Some schools offer spring classes for some of the prerequisite courses, I think. Other schools have placement tests a few days after arrival. For example, one of the schools I'm applying to offer intensive classes in March in late August and classes start in September. During my stay at that time, will the school fund my accommodation and other living expenses?
So it depends on what's your your graduate assistantship package is. I know a friend who came in for 2022. He had a conference which was fully funded. So most of the, aside Emelia scholarship, most of the graduate assistantships don't provide you with accommodation. Most of them, but some do. So you would want to ask into details what your graduate assistantship package is, into details, so that you know if your graduate assistantship tells you the month you are starting. If you are starting in September when classes are starting, then they are not paying in August. So in August, the time you get here, so the time classes starts, you are on your own. So yeah, okay. I think that's it.
Okay. I can see some hands have been raised. Let's finish the ones in the chat. I think we're almost done, and then we can take those people that have raised their hands. Please, I'm interested in schools with no recommendation letters. I don't think we can tell for a fact that this school is requiring recommendation letters. This school is not. So we did mention about prerequisites when you're applying for them. Once you don't see the school asking you for recommendation letters, it means they are not requiring recommendation letters. And so that'll be a good start. Someone requested the LinkedIn account again. Please drop your LinkedIn account. And Dinah too. Okay. Yeah. Will I get funding if I decide to go for January intake as in January 2025? We cannot tell for a fact that you get funding or not, but then we've outlined some steps and then things that have worked for us and then our friends. So you want to try those things like reach out to program coordinators, apply for graduate assistantships, both in the department and outside of the department, reach out to current students of the school, knowing the TAs that are going out and which program they offered. Probably their professors are looking for people, and then you do that. Do I need WS course evaluation? That will also depend on the school that you're applying to. So once they require it, I do have a video, extensive video on that on my YouTube channel. You want to check that out. I went through the steps of doing the evaluation, and then I brought someone on to talk about their experience. So if you have anything to say, yeah, Priscilla.
Yeah, I did WS evaluation for my school, but they do not require recommendation letters. There's no application fee, but WS is expensive, like almost $300. So although my school doesn't have an application fee and it doesn't have a recommendation letter, you need to do WES. That's the only downside.
Right. I think that's a good point Priscilla brought. A lot of the time, the schools that are not requiring application fee and do not require recommendation letters require the WS evaluation. So it's like one, and then those schools that require WS evaluation, in my experience, provide a lot of funding. So because the WS is expensive, you know that there are a lot of there are few people that will go towards those opportunities. So you want to put a car on a car, like put debt on debt, and then do the WS evaluation if it is required. Even application fee is like $50 and $100. WS is $180 or depending on which one you want to do. So that's a trade-off you want to do, and a decision you want to make for yourself. But then schools that require WS have a lot of funding. Yeah. Please, how can I get graduate assistantship in Arizona State University for PhD in plant science and biotechnology? I have 4 years experience in molecular biology on DNA extraction, PCR gel. Okay. Please, how can I get email address to Prof? You can reach out to me and I'll connect you with someone in Arizona State University, and then you can ask them if they could connect you with a professor. So let me drop my email. I'll drop my email in the chat, and then you can take and send me an email. I prefer an email because my WhatsApp is a little flooded. Thank you. Please, how can I? Okay, we did that question. Is any of your schools currently offering admission in MS Statistics or Data Science or Mathematics? Please kindly let us know. Priscilla and Dinah.
Yeah, I think Georgia State has an MSc in statistics. I think data science as well. Yeah, so we do. I think Priscilla is doing applied statistics and data science. So yeah, her school also has.
Yeah. Did someone say when you get an admission for fall with funding, but you want to defer to spring, is it possible? Did we answer that?
No.
That was before the Arizona State question.
Okay.
Victoria asked that.
So if you defer it, like we said, I'm sure Priscilla's supervisor had someone defer their program, or someone did not take the offer, and that's how Priscilla got a slot. So if you are deferring to a different semester, the funding will not wait for you. They will give it to someone else, unless you have like a one-on-one with them to tell them your situation and why you want to defer, and it will be for a decision for the board to make if they are keeping the funding for you. I think that will be the answer to the question.
Yeah.
I think someone asked, secondly, I did a diploma in marketing for 2 years and a degree in marketing. If the schools are requesting for a 4-year undergrad, will it affect me?
Hi.
Hi. The baby wants to go to grad school.
Yeah.
So I don't have an answer to it. And as I mentioned, it's usually based on the school's prerequisites. So before I put in an application, I don't want to waste my application fee. I send emails to schools, to make program coordinators. It's not the coordinators themselves, but they also have assistants. So you might want to send emails to those people to ask them if you qualify. This is your qualification. This is the experiences you have. So do I qualify for the program? And they can help you make that decision. They can tell you, okay, we straight up want 4 years. We straight up want people who have an undergrad 4 years. Or if you have a diploma in marketing, you can apply. So you might want to try that, because I can't tell for fact that they all want 4 years. So I'm very sorry.
So I think I have exhausted the question on my end. If you guys have seen any question you've not addressed, you can quickly address it. Address those that have raised their hand and then end this session. We are readily available. If you shoot us a message and we don't reply, it's because life is beating our backs, but then we reply. So
yeah. I think, did we answer Priscilla, does your school waive application? I think I spoke on that. There's no application in the first place, but there's worse. Also, did you know schools in the US that offer graduate assistantship in public health and biotech? So I think you answered that, like, Google will know better. If that's not our field, we wouldn't know. So
And then for
I did
public health and those courses, mostly they offer. I know Georgia State that, so you can look at Georgia State University. I want everyone to come to Georgia State University. So yeah, you can look at Georgia State University. They have graduate assistantship. And then even if your department does not offer, you can look at other departments as well. So yeah.
Yeah. I think please, dear, you in Georgia University. How can I get admission without GRE?
I think we cannot answer those questions, like not get admission without GRE. That would be more specific and school perspective.
Yeah.
Someone just sent me a message that they don't provide funding for non-thesis options and they'll be more same for all others. I did not do a thesis for my grad school. I did a capstone, but then I still got a scholarship. So I don't think we should make those conclusions yet until you have reached out to the schools and then you know if they're providing funding for non-thesis or thesis or non-thesis. So everything is making sure you have the right information. Do not assume. Yeah, I think there are lots of questions that are coming up, but then we need to wrap up. So those people that have raised their hand, let me look in the participants. We have 2 people that have raised their hand. Daniel, Kofi can come. You can unmute and speak. And then Ben Gaffa, you can unmute and speak after Daniel is done speaking.
Yeah, okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Daniel.
Yeah. So thank you guys very much. It has been impactful. About the emailing graduate coordinators before you get to put in your application. I've been doing it a lot. Thanks to Emily and Sir Bright, who taught me that. But there was this particular school that I emailed the coordinator. They actually take GMAT because I did business and I'm trying to migrate into MBA. And he told me that my CGPA is so good that he's the graduate director. They will waive the GMAT for me. So, but when we're speaking, he was actually nudging me. Even after our message, he sent me a message nudging me that I should go ahead and apply. But when we spoke about funding, his response was not really okay for me. But he told me that I'll be okay. The only thing I have to do is convince the VO and get here. If I get here, I'll be okay. Would you advise I apply to such school?
That's a good question, Daniel. So he says, if I'm getting you right, he says you do not need funding. You'll be okay. Just convince the VO, right?
Yeah, he was like, I shouldn't worry about those things. I'll be okay when I get there. The only challenge, he said the only thing I must do is convince the VOs and get to America.
Okay. So now, how do you convince the VO if you do not have funding? And like the VOs doing the interviews, they just get excited when you talk about funding and you talk about coming back home. Even when you're sneezing, say funding or coming back home. So you cannot do any form of convincing if there's no funding and there's no home ties. You get it? So as much as possible, try and apply to schools that the funding is sure for you. Don't let anybody tell you that try and convince the VO. Like, how do you convince the VO without funding? I know if I've answered your question.
Sure, you've answered. And my last question has to do with, you see, you spoke about the evaluation of transcript. I've not been able to do mine because the price is too high for me and I just got out of school. And but there have been some schools that I'm applying to, they don't take this evaluation. One of it is the University of Baltimore. I spoke with a graduate coordinator about this thing, that I can evaluate my transcript. And she assured me that I should put in my application. But I've gotten to an area where he's saying I should put in my GPA. Remember, the GPA, they are asking for GPA, and mine is CGPA. If I put my CGPA there, would it affect me? Because I actually don't know what to put there now.
So when you were done with your whole undergraduate studies, the end of the program, whether you were in upper or first class, whatever GPA that qualified you to be that upper or first class is what they are requesting you to put in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's say you completed with a 3.5, that is the GPA they are asking you for.
Oh, okay.
I think Ben, you can go next.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, Ben,
Yes,
we
we
can
can hear you.
Ben,
All right. Thank you very much for your good work. I really appreciate your efforts. My question goes to Mr. Dinah, if she can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you, Ben.
That's very good. Yes, I applied to Georgia State University in early part of August this year.
Okay.
For next academic year 4. And as of now, I've not heard anything from them. And anytime I send them emails, please, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So anytime I send them emails, they don't reply me. I don't hear anything from them. So I'm worried. So I don't know how to do. So I'm happy to, meet you here so that you can assist me.
Oh, okay. So sorry about that. But secondly, we are also on a break, Christmas break. So most of the administration offices are not working. But if you applied for fall, I think they were working on those coming in spring because they are coming earlier than the 4 people. So I think you should check around January. I got mine in, I think, March. So you should check
Oh,
around that time. But you can also send me a a message on LinkedIn or email me, and I can help you. I can reach out to the people, and then we can move on from there. But I think you shouldn't worry because you are coming in fall. They will definitely get back to you, depending on the time you put in your application.
all right. Now,
Yeah.
my next question, quick one. So
Okay.
in this case, would the admission come with the funding decision, or maybe I will be expecting the admission decision first before funding will come later?
So Georgia States, when they give you admission, for the ones I know, they include whether you've been considered for a graduate assistantship or not. So if it comes like that, you know your funding decision has been made. You've been considered for it. So maybe the funding package will come in the next week or in that same week. If it doesn't come with it like that, then you know that you've not been considered for it. Then you reach out to your program coordinator and ask about funding. And if he tells you that you've not been considered, that is when you look at other options in the department or outside the department.
Okay, that is very good.
Okay,
That is
thank
very
you.
good. I really appreciate your time. So I need your Gmail account so that I can easily reach out to you. Either
Okay, sure.
LinkedIn or Gmail account, yeah.
Okay, I'll put that in the chat again. Thank you, Ben.
Okay, you are welcome.
Yeah, I think we have done all the questions as far as I can see the chat. I've seen people message me on WhatsApp. I'll reply in due time.
Sorry, I think there are more questions in the chat.
Okay.
And you can.
Okay. Someone is asking, do you have to do an evaluation separately for every school that you apply to, or you have to do them separately? So for the evaluation, when a school requires you to do an evaluation, they put a link in the application and they use that link to apply for the WES. So once the evaluation is ready, then they send it directly to your school. Now, when you apply for the WES evaluation, they ask you if you want them to keep a copy. For the example that I did on my YouTube, that's the question they asked me, do you want us to keep a copy or something? So I think if they keep a copy, the next time you want them to send you an evaluation, no school is accepting an evaluation from you, mind you. So they would want WS to send it to them again. And so you have to go on the website and then see if you can. You don't have to apply it for it all over again, but then they can forward the previous evaluation to the other school at a fee. But then you cannot send any evaluation. So I know that you can get a copy of your evaluation. The question is, you cannot send it to the school directly. They will not take it. So you need to do it through WUS again, and they will do that at a fee. I hope I've answered your question.
Okay, so I'm seeing, please, what's from Bright. Please, what role does having a visitor's visa have on, I lost the question, but have on your interview, I guess. Okay, have on your interview.
So the F1 visa is a non-immigrant intent visa. It means that you don't have any intentions of staying in the US for a longer period of time. The B2 visa obviously is a non-immigrant intent visa. So if you are going to say that there is any link between these two visas, the intent is the same, right? So if you have a B2 visa, I don't think that it should have a negative impact on your chances of securing an F1 visa. However, if you have, there are rules to every visa. So if you have violated the rules of your B2 or your visitor's visa, then it raises concern that why should we give you another non-immigrant intent visa when you violated the first one? And so, yeah, that would be it for that question. When you have 2 years diploma in hospitality and 3 years degree in hospitality management, will the WS evaluate them together for you to get your 4 years degree? When you are doing the WS evaluation, it asks you the level of education you want to evaluate. So yeah, once you put it in there, the option should come up. I can't tell for a fact because I've not tried it with the H1, the HND one, but then there are options on the website that you can try, Victoria.
Okay. So I'm seeing another question. The school I am applying is requesting for 3 recommendations, but I am only able to provide them 2. Should I be worried? Since you are not, they are requesting 3 and you have only 2, you wouldn't have to, you shouldn't put in the application because they are not going to review your application without the 3rd recommendation. So you can either ask maybe your boss at work to put in a recommendation for you, or someone who is in a high position and has maybe supervised you to put in a recommendation for you. If you can't provide a 3, then please don't put in the application because they are not going to review it for you.
Okay. In our quest for graduate school admissions, one thing I want us to eliminate from our lives is mediocrity, right? Oh, they are requesting for 3, I have to, let me try. How about you do it to your best and then get admission? So if you don't have what it takes, or if you think you don't qualify for the prerequisite, maybe you want to wait and then make sure you are fully prepared so that you know that even if it's one application that you put in, it's better than putting in 8 applications. When they've requested 2 recommendations, you put in 1 recommendation. They ask for evaluation, you don't put it in. It's like you are trying, but you are not trying, right? So let's think about that. Like, how about do 1 solid application rather than trying to get out of Ghana at every cost? Can one recommendation letter be used for more than 1 school? Yes. It depends on how long the recommendation has been. There are recommendation letters that even after a year you can still use. So I don't think there's a deadline on how many recommendations you can. Definitely, the person wrote about yourself. You have not expired yet. So yeah, you can use it. So Priscilla, I think you can start, you can share 1 or 2 of the application waivers and then we will log out, because the questions I know are a lot. So if you want to stay on this, it can be the whole day. But I really do appreciate everyone's time for being on this session. Thank you so much. I pray and I hope that everything that you're applying for, wherever you want to be, you'll be here. Contact us and we'll do a reunion, right? So yes.
Okay, so for some reason, there are images. I don't know. Do you have an idea of how to send images in the chat?
Oh. I think the laptop can allow me, but
Yeah. Okay, so
Okay,
I'm
so
going to just share with you guys and then.
do you want us to create a WhatsApp group for this session so that everyone that joined this session will share the images and then we will just dissolve the WhatsApp group or like after this
Okay.
thing? What do you
Okay.
guys think? Please share in the chat if you want us to do that. For
Maybe
a
we can
Wednesday,
even find more and share with them later.
but then yeah, and we'll dissolve the group right after. Yes. Let me create the group right away and then I'll share it with us.
Okay, so as they do that, I see someone has sent me a direct message. It's Georgia State University a school for engineering students or more geared towards humanities and business students? I can't answer that, but you can check their website if they have courses for engineering students, and they can give you funding. You can come there and
Yeah, I do have groups already on WhatsApp, but I'm not so sure if everyone on that group is everyone that is here. So I don't want to share it to that group and people here did not get it. Like Denu, do you get me?
yeah.
So I
Okay.
don't want to keep this WhatsApp group. We share it, Pesha will share it, and then we'll dissolve it. Everyone will have to get to that group.
I'll break. Okay, I see another question. Please, most schools ask that recommendations are sent using institutional emails. I think if once you work in an institution, a university, you should have, the lecturer will have an institutional email. So I'm not getting the question, but I think every lecturer has an institutional email that the lecturer, if the lecturer is sending the email, the lecturer will be able to send the recommendation using his or her institutional email. So I'm not getting the question, but that's
So most of the schools are requiring that the recommenders send the recommendation directly
yeah.
to them, right? I think they give you a link. I had someone who had to pay for a website to get the recommendation to the school. So once they give you the link to send it to, you give it to the recommender, and that's how they do it directly.
Yeah, directly to them.
Okay. Dinah Priscilla, can you check your chat? Shay, I cannot leave my screen because of the recording.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So Warren is saying he thinks it's probably a recommendation from his workplace. So not every institution may have an institutional email. Oh, okay. So I think with regards to that, you could talk to maybe the program coordinator or someone in the admission committee and then let them know that this is where I work. My voice is bouncing back. This is where I work, and then they can confirm that it's legit from this person is legitimately working in this organization. And Mohammed is asking, he has admission at City University of New York without funding. I would like to know a source of funding available. So I think we mentioned this earlier. You can check other departments. You can check the housing departments in the school. You can check other departments aside the departments that you got admission into, and you can check your recreational centers, ISS, and other places. All the departments in the schools, most of them provide graduate assistantships, just that you'll be working as an administrative assistant, but they will pay your fees for you. So you can check other departments and then send in emails. And also connect with people who are already in the school and help and let them help you get funding. They know more about the fundings, where they are working. They can tell you that they are employing people or when you should put in an application for a graduate assistantship. So Lai is asking, for an average student, how many schools would you recommend I apply to, and what should I focus more on applying these? Emelia can answer that.
So I think the number of schools you apply to, I did just mention that the fewer the merrier, or if you do even 2 applications that are very strong, you stand a better chance. It's better than applying to like 10 schools because you want to throw in applications. So there is no number we can say emphatically that this is the amount of schools you have to do. What you should focus on is your experiences and then your academic qualifications. I did a resume review on my channel. If someone sends a resume for a review, you realize that we focus more on the national service thing that we did. But then you are going to get funding because of your academic qualifications, like research assistantship. So you can, in your resume, there should be a part on your resume that says academic project. There you emphasize on the group works, the project works you have done that pertains to the research interest that you are pursuing, right? It sets you apart. So that's what you want to focus on. Forget about the national service. If you did national service, even on your resume, you don't have to write anything like national service. To a white person who is reading your resume, I don't know what national service is. If you were a supply chain analyst for the national service, or you're a graduate trainee program, write your title. Do not put national service on your resume. And then once you write your title, you put the company you did. National service do not even have to come in. You don't even have to make them know it was an 8-month program or a 1-year program. So that's how you sell yourself. Like, don't feel like you're exaggerating. Put yourself out there and emphasize on the things you have done. I think that will get you a better chance.
I just saw a question. To be honest, is studying abroad worth it? Prince, to me, it is actually worth it because
Who asked that question?
Prince asked if it is worth it, but to me, it is worth it.
Yeah, so
it is very worth it. I've achieved things that I don't think I would have achieved if I was back in Ghana. I've met interesting people. I've met people who are pushing me to achieve things that I don't think I would have achieved. And this place also it's a very great place. Like, you are able to express yourself, you are able to learn from people from all backgrounds, and they give you the opportunity to grow. That is what I've seen. So it is very worth it. I mean,
okay.
it is so worth it.
The answer on is it worth it or is not worth it is very subjective. To Dinah, it is worth it because she has been exposed to opportunities that she wouldn't have gotten access to, right? To someone that is earning a 10,000 Ghana cedis, maybe that will not be worth it because you think, how much money am I supposed to come get here? That will amount to that money that I'm getting. Like, or I've already started my career. So there's always a trade-off. There's always scale of preference. What do you want? Probably someone is earning 10,000 Ghana cedis, which to all of us here, it's a lot of money to earn in Ghana. Someone is doing graduate assistantship and they are earning more than 10,000 Ghana cedis. So it really depends on where you put value on. There are also downsides of living in this place, like loneliness, having to figure things all out by yourself and all of that. So it's just a trade-off, right? I can't say for a fact it's worth it, but to most people, most international students, they will say that it's worth it because they've been exposed to opportunities they wouldn't have gotten if they were here. If you are earning 200,000 in Ghana, you can stay in Ghana. It's worth it for you. Like, do you get it?
I think on the question of is it worth it? So most of the time I intentionally ask my friends that will you go to Ghana? And the response is Mekoyeding. So
Mekoyeding is the
I'll
question,
see
is the
that
answer.
it's worth it.
So if you're a DP, you have protocol that you can work in Ghana Revenue Authority, like those places, and get paid. Mekoyeding will not be a question for you to ask. So we are just being real with you. Like, if you have something doing in Ghana, I did a video and I was like, if you find purpose in living in Ghana, and people mistook me saying that I didn't want people to come abroad. Honestly, if you find purpose living in Ghana, I think that should be it, because life is all about finding your purpose and happiness, right? Yeah, I think most of you have joined. Please do subscribe to my channel. We will be doing more of these webinars, and if you are on there, you will find these notifications and join. So maybe sometime we can talk about exploring the working visa, the H-1B visa, how to secure H-1B visa, even if you come here, how to find a job after school. Like, I got a job 3 months into my graduate program, which is not an easy thing, but then with having people around you, so these are information that you need. And so you want to subscribe to my channel, anything I'll put on there. So thank you so much. This was a short notice, but the turnout has been great. We will continue on the WhatsApp chat, and then we will dissolve the group after. Thank you so much for joining this session. I really do appreciate. And to Dinah and Priscilla, thank you so much for your time. It's a holiday. You could have been outside, but then you are here. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you too for having us.
Thank you.
I'm very happy to share and meet many people. I know Salome. I don't know you personally, but I know you. I really enjoy most of your questions. So yeah. And thank everyone. Most of my friends are here. Otoo,
Dana is
Aro,
feeling like a
Mobile,
celebrity right now. So
most people on it. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you so much.